Okay. Can you all see the screen? Wonderful.
Tel Aviv University International, the only place in the world where you can study Taoism. What is Taoism? Well, it's a local philosophy that says the best way to study is through experience. Understand with your head, learn with your feet. The best way to study a multicultural society is to live in one. Be ready with your elevator pitch. You never know who you'll meet on campus. If you want to learn the best marketing strategies, just go to the local market. Reading about the startup nation? Write your own chapter. Study literature in the place that inspired the bestseller of all time. You can't resolve a conflict until you witness one. At TAU, there is always room for more questions and 400 labs to find the answers. Come experience the wisdom of Taoism at Tel Aviv University International, where first-class education meets a second-to-none lifestyle.
Wonderful. Okay. Were you all able to watch the video? I think I saw somebody said they couldn't see it. You could all see it? Okay. Perfect. Okay. So Taoism is just our philosophy that, you know, you learn with your head and you experience with your feet, and you don't just learn in a classroom, but you learn on a campus, in a city, in a country. And I think more so with this program, Ancient Israel Studies, because where else can you study the land of the Bible than in the land of the Bible? And I think this video just encapsulates that philosophy better than I can explain it to you. So this just gives you a snapshot of Tel Aviv University and who we are. We have 30,000 total students. We have 2,000 international students from over 100 countries. Typically, we have students from North America, from Latin countries, also from Europe, Asia, Australia, as well as students from Israel and internationals here in Tel Aviv who want to study in English. So it's a big community, diverse community of international students. You saw in the video, there's 400 labs here, 9 faculties. Tel Aviv is Israel's largest and most comprehensive institution of higher education. And it truly is a multidisciplinary hub institution of academic excellence. We have 130 research institutions, as I said, 400 labs, 3,500 projects annually. The alumni, international alumni is 15,000 strong, 1,000 senior faculty members at 1,400 affiliated physicians at 17 hospitals. So we're very proud of our ranking and what we've achieved here. Oops. So I won't go into all of them, but like I said, we are the #1 choice for Israeli students. We're ranked #5 for entrepreneurship, the only non-US institution to make this list. We're also top 100 innovation university. And I think innovation and that culture of innovation and constantly moving forward and looking for solutions and new way of doing things it's very much part and parcel of our DNA and our philosophy here at TAU. We're also very proud that 55% of the population on campus is women. There was a new commission set up just last year by Professor Netta Ziv, and their remit is clear, and it's to increase visibility and opportunities for minorities here on campus. So very proud of our rankings and our figures. And of course, you know, we're a multidisciplinary institution, and I think that shows in our impact that's felt worldwide. You heard about the number of research institutions on campus. world-class faculty, renowned professors, global university with students from all over the world. Social involvement, I think every year our students typically perform over 300,000 hours of community service. And for those of you who've not been to Tel Aviv, you also get to experience this wonderful, amazing city of Tel Aviv, which leads me on to the next slide. So reasons why we love Tel Aviv. It's a great city. It's on the Mediterranean. It's sunny. It's hot. There's beaches, amazing food, amazing nightlife, amazing culture. It's an open city. It's a free city. It's an innovative city. It's just a wonderful, wonderful place to be. And if you've not been to Tel Aviv before, I think, you know, you're missing out. You really are missing out. It's up there with the rest, you know, with the other alpha cities in the world. And it's a very safe city as well, despite what people think. It's a very, very safe city, Tel Aviv and Israel as well. Oops. So, you know, alumni, I'm not going to go into all of them, but I think it gives you a good snapshot of successful alumni that are making waves and impact in their respective fields. Professor Amnon Shashua, who was the Mobileye founder, which developed algorithms for detecting automobile and pedestrian traffic. Yotam Ottolenghi is a very famous chef and author with a couple of nice restaurants across the world and a couple of cookbooks and TV shows as well. We have Professor Ronit Sachi, who developed a nano vaccine to treat melanoma, and then other illustrious alumni that you can see here. And as I said, we have 15,000 strong international alumni throughout the world. Uri Levine, who founded Waze. I don't think anybody goes anywhere here in Tel Aviv or Israel without using Waze to plan their journey. Industry connections, you know, as befits Israel's largest institution, we have strong links to industry through ventures like Remote, who are on campus, and their remit is to take inventions from Tel Aviv and ideas from Tel Aviv University and turn them into products and services. TAU Ventures, which is an academic venture capital fund. Ignite by Collar, that's an entrepreneurship club. And then we have these amazing events, Cyber Week and Artificial Intelligence Week, where for the entire week you have about 9,000 or 10,000 delegates from all over the world, from government, from private organizations coming here to discuss the latest innovations in cyber and artificial intelligence. And I think these really are the go-to events for professionals in those areas. The Cyber Week came back last year for the first time in 2 years, and Naftali Bennett came onto campus to officially open the Cyber Week. Student Life Team, if there's one thing I want you to take away from today, in addition to the wonderful program that Deborah, Omer and Maddie will talk about, it's the Student Life Team. We call them Madrachim, and Madrachim is the Hebrew word for counselor or guide. And they work for us, and they're all Israeli students. They're all post-army and studying their first or their second degree with us. And they live in the dorms with our students. And they really are there to give you a nice soft landing. So when you come to Israel, you're not coming alone to a foreign country. They're there on arrival day. They welcome you into the dorms if you're staying in the dorms. They organize orientation for you in the dorms, so you get to meet everyone else. They're available 24/7. There's always one of them in our office here. By the way, our office, the TAU International office, is in the middle of campus, and our housing team is here, the visa team is here, tuition teams are here, the Madrachim are here. It really is, this is the hub, the international hub for lots of international students on campus. They also help you, assist you with anything else you need, whether it's housing issues, medical issues. You need to buy a RAV-CAV. A RAV-CAV is like a day pass for the transport system here. They can help you with that. They can help you with SIM cards. They can help you with anything. These are your go-to people that are available 24/7. And in addition to that, they also take you out. They do events on campus, off campus. They'll take you out. You'll get to explore Tel Aviv, Jerusalem. They'll take you on overnight trips to the north, to the south. you'll get to really explore and experience the real Israel. Although I think with your program as well, you also have amazing excursions and excavations that you'll get to experience as well. So I think with that and the Student Life team here, it creates an amazing experience for you all. And the picture on the right-hand side actually is of a Madrachim-led day trip down to Jaffa, somewhere in Jaffa. By the way, the video that you saw at the beginning, the Taoism video, we filmed that on campus using lots of international students last year. So we often do get international students to appear in our photo shoots, in our videos. So they're very much there to create that community, and that I think is then felt in the accommodation as well. So we have on-campus housing. All of our dorms have security, there's health insurance, there's a doctor's office on campus. There's a food court and supermarket within walking distance. This picture is of the Brushim dorms. That's our new dorm village. It's just adjacent to campus. And they're very nice. They're safe and secure. They're all studio style. What we always try and do is we have one building there, so we keep all of the international students together as much as possible with the madrachim that live there. So at the same time, I think you get the best of both worlds because you get to meet other international students, but you're also surrounded by Israelis. So you get to hopefully meet and interact with Israeli students there as well. Just a quick question, we don't offer meal plans in our dorms, but all of them have cooking facilities. They've all got kitchens. And in the ground floor of each of the buildings, they have like what they call a study room. That doesn't do it justice. It's more like a very big Starbucks. It's really nice furniture. It's a nice, quiet, relaxing place where lots of students go there and they study. And as well as outside in between the dorms, there's lots of grass spaces that people can meet and catch up and have a picnic. And the campus itself is vast. It's 220 acres of green space just north of downtown Tel Aviv. So that's me. I hope I've given you a feel for TAU, a general feel for TAU and what's waiting for you here. I'll pass over to Deborah, but I'll be here. I'll be available to answer any questions anybody has relating to housing, scholarship information, anything at all that I can help with. I'd be more than happy to answer them. So thank you very much. Deborah, over to you.
Yes, thank you, David.
I'll just stop my screen.
Yes. Everything is good. There you go. Can everyone see?
Yep.
Okay, great. So we're going to talk about the location. David already started talking about Tel Aviv. First of all, Deborah, I'm the program coordinator. But from this week, Stacy will be replacing me until September, October. So please feel free to contact her. She will be able to assist you and respond to any of your questions. So we'll be talking about the location, the program overview, how to apply to the program, the new courses we have, the excavation, the field trips. You will meet Maddie, who's one of our students that just submitted her MA yesterday. So we're very happy and excited for her. And Omer will talk about career opportunities and about the program more in details. And he's very passionate about it and about Israel in general. So if you have any questions, feel free to contact Omer as well. So the location, David talked a lot about it, but Israel is not only Tel Aviv for us in archaeology. We have Megiddo, we have Azaka, we have Hadid, we have so many areas. It's the country with the most excavations in the world. Every day there's a new excavation opening. So there are a lot of opportunities in working here in the field or learning with professors. For the program, you need to reach, if you're doing just a one-year program, you need to do 38 academic hours. So there are 7 mandatory courses, 5 introduction courses, and 2 courses that are changeable every year. So every year you'll receive a new curriculum and see what there is new that you can learn about. You will need to take 3 seminars. An ancient language. This year was biblical Hebrew, was the first year starting with it, with a professor from New York, so it was very exciting. An academic writing workshop where you learn how to write papers the Tel Aviv University way. We will take you on field trips. There are around 5, 6, 7 field trips depending of the year. You will need to participate in the 4 weeks excavation, which is usually at Tel Aviv. That is the excavation that Professor Oded Lipschitz is in charge of, which is also the head of the program. And at the end of the excavation, you will need to submit a paper about the excavation. And if by any chance at the end of the first year, you have a GPA that is higher than 85 and wish to continue with us and write a thesis, you're more than welcome to do so. For this, you will need to take 2 additional seminars. All seminars are 4 hours. You will need to take a research workshop to learn how to write a thesis proposal, and of course, submit your thesis. To apply to the program, you can do it on the Tau International website on the portal. You open their profile with all the details. From there, we will need you to submit your original transcript. So we receive e-transcript from your universities. We allow those, or you can send your transcript directly to our address here in Israel or in one of our offices in Canada or in the US. And if you cannot submit it physically through the post office, we can always receive them physically in hand when you arrive in Israel with the documents. Come to our office and we'll take care of them. We will need 2 letters of recommendation, preferably from an academic background. If you're not from an English-speaking country, or if you didn't do a BA in an English-speaking university from the US, England, India, or whatever that is not English-speaking, we will ask you to take an English test, so TOEFL, IELTS, Cambridge, and pass above the grade that are written here on the screen. We would like a personal statement where we would like to hear from you. Who are you? What would you like to join the program? Why this program? Why your passion for archaeology? We want to hear about you and learn more from you. And of course, a picture of yourself or student ID and a picture of your passport. If you have a double nationality with an Israeli nationality, please let us know so that we can act accordingly as well. To get accepted to the program, we need you to have a GPA that is higher than 80. So do not worry, send us the transcript, pay the tuition fee, and from there, the admission fees can translate your international transcript to our Israeli understanding of the transcript. But the new courses I was talking about, of course, the biblical Hebrew that started last year. And next year will probably be as well the biblical Hebrew. So it's 8 hours yearly. So 4 during the first semester and 4 during the second semester. It's part Zoom and part here, as one of them is in New York. And you will learn to write, read biblical Hebrew, understand more the grammar of it, and you will be able at the end to read Hebrew texts and medieval and modern Hebrew. So it's very interesting and very connected to our program as well. And later around May, June, I hope we will have the new curriculum updated and the schedule so that we could all share it to you with the new classes that will be available and the new seminars. And now it's not moving. There you go. So concerning the field trips, it's all around Israel. It really depends. Every year it changes. Omer this week on Thursday, will be taking the students to Tel Dan and Chatzor, which are beautiful places with a lot of background and history, a lot to talk about. We also have usually at Bet Shemesh, Israel or Megiddo, at City of David, sometimes at the museum, and even at the IAA storage room, where you will be able to see everything that was found in Israel, the backgrounds of what is found, and it's usually closed for the public. So it's very exciting that we can have access with a few of our professors. You can find a few pictures here with the students having fun, enjoying, learning how to use everything at Bet Shemesh site. And here are students excavating at Megiddo during the winter break, which is beautiful and exciting. So when you join us, you always have the possibility to ask your professor if you could join one of their excavations and see if there are a few spots left.
Deborah, it's not Megiddo, it's Masada.
I meant Masada, sorry, it's Mem, that's why. I meant Masada. Excuse me, I'm tired.
You
So
can see the Dead
Masada, which
Sea
is
in the
beautiful.
picture for all those.
I know, I
not,
can see. I thought
no,
I
not
said
for you,
Masada.
Deborah, for the students here. Yes, the, what you see here
Anyway.
is the Dead Sea. So the site is in
Yes.
Masada in the desert. Yeah.
Exactly. My apologies. So this is Masada, and I know they had a lot of fun, and there's every year till now, I don't know if it will be next year because they just finished excavating 3 weeks ago, I think. But they had a lot of fun. And so we always try to have students in many excavations so that you can also meet and be with the Israeli students. We always try to have you mix. Because of Corona was a bit complicated last year to mix Israelis and international, as we really tried to have, separated. But now that everything is back to normal, classes are frontal, it's not on Zoom, most of them anymore. It's just the Hebrew class that is on Zoom because the professor is abroad. But everything is frontal. Everyone wears masks during class, so it's not a problem. And I would like to, Maddie, if you want to talk about your thesis, if you want to talk about your experience in the program. Unfortunately, I will have to leave you, but I mean, Omer, I'm sure will be able to answer to any of your questions. And David, if you could help me not to share my thing anymore, I don't know how to do it.
Okay, let me just.
Deborah, before you leave, there's just one question in the chat that maybe you can answer much better than I can.
Yes. What is the question?
It's in the chat.
About English.
Some Bachelor of Divinity in English, do I need to speak? No, you do not need, because if you studied in English and India, everything, usually the universities are taught everything in English, you will need to take an English exam. But send us the transcript and we send it to the admission office and they will let us know if by any chance they will say that you will need, but I really do not believe so, as all of your studies were in English. No problem. Any other questions about registration that maybe I can help answer? No, we need you to have a BA. This is the minimum that we request, is a BA with a GPA of 80. But go do a BA and we'll love to have you in 3 years join us. I will be there for you and we'll take care of everything and have you in the program.
Me too. It's very nice.
Oh,
and
thank you.
It's just an MA program. Unfortunately, we do not have yet international BA program. Otherwise, we would invite you. But once you get your BA, you are most welcome. We will remember you and we will be happy to have you in the program.
You can always do the BA here at Tel Aviv University. There's a BA in liberal arts. And then from the BA in the liberal arts, stay in Israel and stay with us for an MA program, because we accept BAs from any background. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be from archaeology or from history. Even if you did engineering, we'll still accept you. So you're more than welcome to do the BA with us on campus.
Deborah, one more question here.
Hello, Swati. The option to take admission September, October. The latest is September, but you do not have to finish your BA right now to get accepted. What we can do is that you submit the transcript that you have for the moment. If it's around the GPA of 80 plus for the moment, we can still accept you on condition that by the end of the first semester, you send us the final transcript with all of your grades and with the GPA that is higher than 80. And after this, there's no problem for you to stay in the program. But we need you to have the official and final transcript by the end of the semester and give it to us so that we can update it. It needs to be GPA higher than 80 or we will have to let you go from the program. but it's not a problem to accept your own condition, even if you didn't finish your studies yet.
Any more questions to Deborah regarding registration, administration, anything else? No. Deborah, thank you very much for joining us.
Of course.
I already miss you.
We'll
too.
see each other in 6 months. She will arrive soon. And I would like to say hi to Kirill because I've never met you, but we've been talking for a year now, Kirill. Your trusted hand with Stacy that I know has been in contact with you already. And everyone, I hope I will see you in September, October, when I'll be back and when you'll be in Israel. And we'll have a lot of time together and fun in the program on campus. Bye-bye. And
Bye,
Maddie,
Deborah.
please continue.
Yes, Maddie, it's you?
My turn?
Yes, it's
Yeah.
Me turn? All right, so I'm Maddie. I am almost soon to be no longer an MA student. I just submitted my thesis yesterday. And I joined the program in 2018. I'm from Sydney, Australia, so a bit far away. And I've been working with Oded, one of the professors here, with Omer for a long time. I remember when you taught me in my very first semester, a young student that didn't know much. And now I am an excavation manager with Oded at Tel Aviv, where you'll come and do your field school. So you'll get to know me. And just submitted my thesis and probably going to start a PhD. Sorry if there's screaming in the background, that's my cat. He's excited. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. I'm usually around the halls of Gilman. I'm very excited to meet the new students, help you guys out with anything you need as well. And yeah, it's I've had a great time in the program. It's taken me a lot of places. We went through the pandemic in it. That was fun. And now we're kind of back to normal and it's very exciting. So I don't know if anyone has any questions for me, but Omer, I think you'll do great justice to the program. So I don't have much more to say.
Okay, so first of all, thank you very much, Maddie. I'm always happy when you are by my side, even if it's just on Zoom. And for the rest, thank you for joining us. I will give a little bit information, a little bit less official than what you heard so far. But the first thing that I would like to say, and only because I really, really love this picture, it's just the last slide from the PowerPoint of Deborah. And only because I really like this picture. You see these beautiful trees, we have them all over Tel Aviv, all over the city, and in June, they blossom in this beautiful red, and it's always nice. Regarding career opportunities, I wanted to say that you are here or our program is a program for ancient Israel studies. So it means basically, we can also say the archaeology and history of the biblical world. You will be taught here basic archaeology, the archaeology of the land of Israel in the Bronze and Iron Ages, in the biblical periods. Generally, you will get fieldwork experience. You will get to know the sites themselves, because I will take you to tour all around Israel. I mean, the archaeological sites. If you want to see Israel beyond, you can always do that as well. And you are finishing the program. And especially if you can finish the program with an MA, if you stay with us a second year, like Maddie that you see here, and get your MA from Tel Aviv. And our alumni have career opportunities in many things that are related to archaeology. They can, first of all, of course, carve out a career or to pursue a research career. That means to go on and do PhD studies. And I'm very proud to say just now, for example, yes, I had a student, his name was Jordan Weitzel. He comes from West Virginia in the United States of America. He joined our program in 2017. He joined my excavation in some site in the Jezreel Valley. in 2018 and 19. For 2 years, we worked together in the field. And then he did his MA thesis under my supervision, that he examined ancient burials from the 11th century BCE. So burials from more than 3,000 years ago in the Jezreel Valley, which him and we excavated these burials together. He later studied them. He published this work. It was a very good work, and he just called me last Thursday, so a few days ago, to tell me that he's now been accepted to PhD in the archaeology of the Southern Levant in the University of Berkeley in United States. So this is one of the best schools in the world, Berkeley, and this is just to show you where our alumni can reach. Yes, and this is a very personal example also, because Jordan was my student. You see this office where I'm now. Here was his chair. Yes, this is where he wrote his thesis, and we worked together so first year he was my student, and then for 2-3 years later, he worked with me in the field and in research, and I'm very proud of him. And I'm very proud that he's accepted to Berkeley. And beyond that, we have alumni like Sean from last year, who is now a field excavator, and he works in the United States as a field excavator in many sites. And you can also pursue career in cultural heritage, museology, curator, and all this. So you can pursue or research career or archaeological career or anything that is related to culture and heritage. Yes, in museums, in education, in governmental ministries, and so on and so forth. So this is just to finish what Deborah didn't finish. And now, no more PowerPoint presentation. I just want to say a few things. I guess that you heard a very nice PowerPoint presentation from David here, which was very general about Tel Aviv University. And I think Tel Aviv University is great. But I'm telling you seriously, there are many great universities in the world. Yes, in Europe, in the States. I want to talk with you about our program. Why, if you are interested in ancient history, and especially in biblical history or Egyptology and Assyriology and the ancient cultures of the Near East, then Tel Aviv is your home. And even if there are better or more beautiful universities, I have little doubt that we suggest by far the best program, and specifically for these studies. And this comes from few aspects. The first aspect, of which I'm also very proud of, is that the Sonia and Marco Nadler Institute of Archaeology in Tel Aviv University, our institute, is ranked at the best 10 archaeology institutes in the world every year. Every year. There's not even any other department in Israel, in any other university, with all the high-tech and all the fuss of Israel as high-tech nation. The only department in Israel which is ranked in the first 10 in the world is the Department of Archaeology in Tel Aviv University. So what I assure you, that when you come to study with us the archaeology of the land of Israel in the biblical period, you are studying with the best experts in the world currently. And since they are the best experts, they are also well connected. 2 professors in America and 2 scholars in West Europe. I myself, I work with 3 different German universities and 1 university in Austria. They all cooperate with me all the time. We teach there, I send my students there. And we dig together every summer. We do excavations together. Now I will be also related to a professor in Berkeley, which is very nice, because Jordan will still do a PhD with me and in Berkeley. Jordan, my former student, he even when he is accepted to Berkeley, he still wants to keep his connection to Tel Aviv, and he decided that he will do PhD together in both institutions. So this is the first reason why you come to study with us. Yes, we are just the best in what we do, and I'm not ashamed to say it. You can also check it in even the journal that the scientific journal that we published from Tel Aviv for archaeology is ranked in the best 50. So we're really the best in what we do. Secondly, and this is even more interesting, our institute is one of the most equipped in the world. This is completely a new trend of the past 20 years, that the natural sciences like biology, chemistry, physics are joining hands with archaeology. And Tel Aviv is one of the first universities to understand this very, very early and to establish a lot of archaeological laboratories. In our institute, we have a laboratory for reconstructing of ancient environment. This is a laboratory for archaeobotany. We have a laboratory for archaeozoology, where you study ancient bones and ancient animals and animals economy. We have a laboratory for petrographic study and ceramic analysis, where we can take pieces of ceramics and finds that we found on the ground and tell a lot of nice things about them, like where they were produced, how they were produced, in which temperatures they were fired. We have a computational lab for computerized archaeology, where we can scan our finds and our vessels, and we have much more labs. And that means another thing. From all our students, those who are studying here, when I spoke, sometimes they choose this more scientific or natural sciences part of archaeology, and then they start to work in our labs. At the moment, the head of the Laboratory of Conservation and Preservation in Tel Aviv University, in our institute, in the Institute of Archaeology, is Diana Medellin, who is Mexican. She joined the program 4 years ago, together with Jordan. She did her MA here, and she stayed. And now she's the manager of the laboratory of our Institute for Preservation and Conservation. And believe me, she's the best in Israel at the moment. So I said, first reason is that we are the best in what we do. Second reason is that we are really good institutes with all the equipment and all the laboratories. And this gives a lot of opportunities to a lot of you, and especially those of you who would like to stay for a second year and write an MA thesis. Because then you can also do the thesis in the labs, you can work in the labs. I have another student, Maddie, she is from England, from London, and she worked with me in the field. We were digging together. She did her MA with me. And now she's working in the petrography lab in Tel Aviv and in our institute. And again, I'm very proud of this. Now, the third reason why we are the best in this, and this is a little less about us and more about our locations. We are Tel Aviv. And this I can tell you, David says, or Deborah, that I'm enthusiastic for Israel. This is less true. I'm more enthusiastic for Tel Aviv and Tel Aviv University, and within this frame, for the Institute of Archaeology in Tel Aviv specifically. My friends, Tel Aviv is one of the coolest towns you've ever visited. It has a crazy mix of a more Western European style city with the Levant. It has one of the most beautiful beaches. I mean, of course, you can go to nature beaches, which will always be nice, but beach in a city. In very little cities around the world, you will find nice, beautiful, and inviting beaches like in Tel Aviv. The city is vibrant, extremely young, beautiful, and lively. And also, though it's not so big, it's diverse. Every neighborhood has its own character. If you go to Florentine, where 90% of our students live, this is a very young neighborhood with, they don't go to sleep there. But you can also live in Jaffa, and this is an old city, 4,000 years old, which is today a neighborhood in Tel Aviv. And this is where I live, for example. or you can live in the white city of Tel Aviv, where Madi lives, right? This is high class, Madi. It's not for us.
I'm in a fancier neighborhood.
Yeah, you are in the fancy area. So when you look at these three things together, yes, if you are interested in biblical history and archaeology, the best place to do it is Tel Aviv, because of the city, because of the institute, and because of the facilities, and because of your professors. And I think also, if you look how many MA theses from our international program were completed, more than 70.
Actually, Omer, if you don't mind me interrupting there, we actually have the actual statistics. I'm going to drop in to the chat a link to the newsletter from the archaeology department, which is actually celebrating the 10-year anniversary of this program. I think it's something like 196 students, 150 theses, 70 PhD. It's insane. So I'm going to put that for you, and you can see about all the students Omer mentioned, past students who are now in Germany, America, other places in like Europe.
Maybe you can share with us. You have the file?
Yeah, give me 1 second. Can I hang on? Let me.
So all the statistics and the data that Madi will show to you now is just to show how successful this program is. And I love this picture.
Yeah. So
this is the newsletter of our Institute of Archaeology, and the recent journal of the newsletter celebrated the international program because of its success. You can see this was made by pottery sherds. You really see a table in our restoration lab. This is all where the pottery sherds end up after you dig them out in the field. And in the restoration lab, they usually restore them back to nice vessels, but they can also do world maps.
So cool. I can just say that I can send that out to everyone. That I got that newsletter, Madi and Omer, that I can send it out to everyone with the recording afterwards as well. So I'll send it out to everyone.
This is 10 years of our program.
Yeah. So I can stop sharing if we're going to send it, but
go on. Yes, you can see all the states from which we had students.
Yeah.
In all the 5 continents.
Hang on, it's split. It's when you download it, it's beautiful. So you can see all our students. Here's me, one of the Australians. It has introduction to all the lectures that we have in the department, people you'll be taught by. You can read that. It's very interesting. I'll just scroll to students. Let's see what we've got. You can see we have a big department. We're still in. So here's current, I think, submitted MAs over the last 10 years. There's a lot of them, all different topics, range of topics from sciences to more solid archaeology, history, whatever, biblical studies. Current students, so these are the current MA international students. And then a little bit from past students about what they're doing.
Erin is a good example for someone who began in the MA program and also stayed to do PhD with us.
Yep.
And she's American from California. She still lives in Israel. She's going to be married to an Israeli guy very soon. And another guy, and she still works in archaeology. And actually today she's doing postdoctorate. She did MA with us, PhD with us, and now she's doing postdoctorate in more marine archaeology in the University of Haifa. This is in northern Israel.
Yeah. And then you have Ruthie, who is now working in archaeology, specifically in glass and restoration in the Israeli Antiquities Authority. Has a very interesting job. Diana, this is the head of the conservation lab that Omer was talking about.
And she's from Mexico originally.
Yeah. She's lovely and wonderful, wonderful. April was, I think, before me. I'm not sure what she's up to now, but I think she's still studying, actually. She completed her MA very recently. Abra, from I think the first or second year of the program, just got a position in Germany and moved less than a week ago.
Yes. Abra also came for MA, stayed for PhD, and now she got a position in the University of Munich.
Yep.
This is a very high-class university in another beautiful. This is Jordan. I told you about him. He just got accepted to PhD. This is the burials that he studied. You see him in action, that he digs this ancient cemetery, and he just got a position in, not a position, a PhD in Berkeley. Alex,
another core member of the international students that are still around, also in her PhD now. She does a lot of excavating. You'll 100% run into her. She's hard to miss. She's very loud. Us Australians are.
Also, Israelis are loud.
Also, it works well. Yep, me, you've heard about me, no problem. And then, yeah, fieldwork things, current excavations and finds and all of that. I think after that, it's less on the students. So I'll hand it back to you, Omer, but I thought this might be a good little thing.
Thank you, Maddie. It was a great idea. I will add one last thing. Yes, at the end of the day, there are a lot of faculties around the world in universities where you can study biblical studies and archaeology of the Southern Levant and biblical archaeology and the history of the biblical periods and history of the Near East. You can study this in many places, but only here you will be in the same region which you study. And there's a very, very large part of your studies which is just outside. As you saw in the film at the beginning about Taoism, you will visit sites in the north of Israel, which is green, mountainy, and snowy in winter, and sites in the desert in the south of Israel, and of course, Jerusalem and the excavations of Jerusalem. So there's no better place to study these issues. Of course, you will participate excavations, and during the excavation, you have field school. So when you finish participation in excavation, you are actually trained how to manage the field work, as Maddie did and can tell you. And this is my and again, I think for student life, Tel Aviv for a year or 2 years of your life is a perfect experience.
I have a few questions.
Yes, Aaron, where are you from?
I'm from Canada, actually.
Canada, where in Canada?
Yeah. So
where in Canada do you live?
Calgary, Alberta, so Western Canada.
Calgary.
Nearby, yeah, the mountains and oil and gas and all that stuff. That's our industry here. But yeah, very interested in this. I actually have a background in geophysics, and I actually currently work in the energy industry. Really interested in using geophysical methods for archaeology. I know that there's a professor at Tel Aviv University. His name is Lev Eppelbaum. Do you guys work with him directly at all? Is there like any geophysical?
Maybe some of my colleagues do. And I know that in the field of geophysics and archaeology, there's a lot of cooperation. I do know that not in our university, they developed for our army some machines to identify underground tunnels. And this was machines that were developed by geophysics, some faculty of geophysics to the Israeli army, but we purchased some of them in order to dig in the city of David in Jerusalem. Because in Jerusalem, there are a lot of underground tunnels and these machines also help us. So, but all these things of ground penetrating radars, and this is last 10 years thing in archaeology. I think that up till now, the equipment and technologies we have is not good enough. Never something really successful that can help. An excavation came out of it, but as I said, this field is completely open for innovations because everyone tries and no one yet succeeded in producing some ground penetrating radar, which is good enough for archaeology as well, and not just for looking for gas and oil.
Yeah, because I know that Lev, you know, from looking at some of his papers, I think he's looked at refraction seismic for near surface.
Maybe you can write his name at the chat, and we'll look.
His name.
Can I make a comment, Omer? Is that okay?
Yes, of course.
So I'm in the process of submitting my MA, and I thought this might help, that while actually partnering with other professors on your thesis and with your research is a different, you know, it's something you need to discuss and with your supervisors and collaborate. informally collaborating is widespread at Tel Aviv. So I, for my research, collaborated with the physics department. While they didn't sign on my research and just contributed to it, we both will publish it in the future. It was an option. So we didn't have to go through the mess of trying to agree who's going to sign what and all of this. But like unofficial collaborations on the research where you publish it later, all the time. I don't know anyone's research who didn't collaborate with scientists or historians from other fields that isn't the focus of their research. So if you're interested, also geophysics, like Omer said, is in high demand in archaeology. If you already come with that background, you know people, then you're already in the steps to collaborating some way.
Yes.
And think about figuring that out when you're in Israel.
Yes, and to develop this to research, to MA research, PhD, whatever. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Maddie. And I agree. And it reminds me that in our former webinar, we also emphasized that we have no distance here. But we didn't say this now. When Maddie says that it's easy to collaborate in Tel Aviv, it's also, there's no real, at least in the archaeology department, this is not everywhere. We have no real distance from professors and students in our department. Yes, my door is always open here. Everyone comes in and out. I share my office with my students. When I'm not here, they still share it. and no one calls me professor or doctor or whatever. We use private names, and it's different because we go with our students to the field a lot. Whether we tour with them whole day in the field or we walk with them 4 weeks in the field. So the atmosphere is completely open, and it's a little bit cliche, but it's really vibrant. You can see when you walk our institute, there are always many students, many languages, German and English and Arabic and Hebrew, and there's an atmosphere that something always happens, and this is really nice. And this, by the way, separates also archaeology from other fields in humanities, yes? We actually have, when you're professor of history only or literature, whatever, you don't have labs, you don't have field trips, and you don't need the vibrant atmosphere. But in archaeology, it's different. More questions?
Omer, you had a few in the chat that maybe...
I saw one
okay.
from Cyril.
So can you help me? I'm with the chat. Yeah. My ADHD does not allow me to do chat and talk at the same time.
From Swati, I hope I pronounced that right. They were wondering about how studying this topic in Israel will help them in their own countries when they're not from Israel. I think you actually.
Who asked this?
Swati.
It's on the chat. You're on it.
I just want to know to whom do I answer.
It was Swati that asked it.
So I completely disagree, Swati, that ancient Israel history is history of Israel. Please do not confuse the modern state of Israel, which is only 80 years old, not even 70 something, 75. And the completely modern state took an ancient name that was there before. When you study ancient Israel, you do not study the history of Israel, but what we call biblical history. And the Bible does not belong to Israel nor to the Jews. Yes, the Hebrew Bible is part of the Holy Scriptures also for a lot of Christians. And for this reason, there are biblical departments and biblical archaeology departments in almost every university in the West. As I just said, I work with 3 German universities and 1 Austrian. All of them have biblical studies department, as every big Ivy League university in America, or not even, also public universities in America have, and even in the other side of the world, in Australia, they have biblical studies and biblical archaeology department. So when you come to study biblical studies and biblical archaeology in Tel Aviv, it's not the history of Israel. This is the history of the West in a way. Yes, the Hebrew Bible is one of the pillars of Western culture. The entire alphabetic script came from Israel to the world. So it's not studying the history of the modern state of Israel. It's also not history of Judaism. This is the ancient history of the Near East, the biblical history, biblical archaeology, and this is studied everywhere in the West. Absolutely.
Can I add something as well? I just thought if that's
always, you don't have to ask, Maddie.
So I was thinking, I saw this question pop up and I was thinking about it. And on top of what Omer said, one of the things that's great about our program is that archaeology is a very diverse field with a lot of skills in it.
Yes, you're right.
Part of your studies here involve, you know, of course, your book learning, you're in the library, you're learning how history, Bible, archaeology, but you're also in the field and you're working with experts in archaeobotany, archaeozoology, physics, chemistry, all of this. So what you actually leave with is a bunch of skills that can be transferable. Now, I think you said you came from India. Oh no, where did you come from? I have a friend who's in the program, and she is from India, and she had the exact same question as, how do I take these skills and take them back home? And basically what she's figured out is she specialized in a subfield. So she does archaeozoology, which can be done anywhere. And she started to excavate more and more. So now she has the skill of how to excavate a site and how to study animal remains. And she is already planning and has a PhD lined up with a researcher in India who specifically works with Indian archaeology, a little bit more modern than what she studies here, but she has all the same skills. So
Yes.
for them, there was no problem that she studied in Israel. She got the best education she could. She has the skills she needs, and now she can go home and do what she likes. So if your interest is less maybe academic and history based and more like, how do I do archaeology in another country? Israel, one, they established some of the standard archaeological methods for digging, and they use them worldwide. So you get the basis in that, plus all the other history and archaeology and biblical studies that come in, and you really can bring all of that abroad back to where you come from, and it transfers very nicely. So that's, to answer your question, like a lot of the skills you learn can be used anywhere.
Thank you, Maddie. This is perfect and much more important even than what I said. This is completely true. You learn here also a skill. It's not that, yes, you study ancient Israel and biblical history, however, you learn a skill. You learn archaeology or one of its sub-features like archaeology, metallurgy, whatever. And this skill is good for everywhere, of course.
And there was one more question, Omer. What was it?
Yes, it was the one just underneath from Cyril, asking if it's possible to do a chemistry minor or any natural science course.
So with what I said before, it's again about informal or formal collaboration. That would be a question for Tel Aviv, whether you can do a minor in addition, that I can't answer. But if you're interested in chemistry, you obviously could partner with a more chemistry-based thesis and researcher. So
Yes.
it's the same. If that's there's always something to study. We're always looking for the right person.
Yes, we also have a good example. You have Vanessa.
Of course.
Vanessa from California, right, Maddie?
We're talking Chachi?
No, from Cuba originally.
Yes.
Chachi.
Yeah.
So, but her family she actually lives in California, and she joined the international program. She did MA, and now she just finished PhD. And this PhD was together with Tel Aviv, and also in Germany she did it, also in Munich. And in her PhD, she did what we call organic residue analysis, which is basically chemistry. Today, we can take pottery sherds, and people like Vanessa can take some samples of this pottery and examine it in a lab. And if there were liquids in the container, if it was a storage jar or a cooking pot or a bowl that contained liquids, yes, the molecules of the liquids apparently remain for thousands of years, and you can extract them in the lab. And Vanessa is an international student that began in our program, and now she finished PhD in this, in organic residue analysis. And by the way, this is also kind of a new technology, and there are not many specialists for organic residue analysis. I have a postdoc student that worked again on material for my site, and She's now one of the only specialists in Israel, together with Vanessa and a few more. This is really has high demand all over the world, but there are not a lot of specialists. And yes, you can study this here.
Can I say just one thing as well, Omar? You were talking about Maddie from the UK, and I just want to put into the chat, because I filmed Maddie on our balcony last year, and she was talking about the best things about Tel Aviv University and why you should come here. So I think there's a video that you should all watch at some point. I'll just put it into the chat.
I love both our Maddies very much.
We call them the two Maddies, I know
trust
that.
both of them. Yes, do we have more questions? 9. Okay, dear friends, thank you all for coming and joining us. We will be happy to welcome you in Tel Aviv at the beginning of the next semester. And if you have any questions, you can write me directly, you can write Maddie that you see here, Maddie the students, you can write Stacy, and we will gladly help you with everything.
Wonderful. I'll also email out the recording to everyone as well. I'll put all your contact details in the email as well. Also, my contact details are in the same email as well. So do reach out to me if you have any questions about TAU in general. I'm here to help.
Thank you very much.
Wonderful. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Good evening in Israel. Good
Bye.
morning if you are in other sides of the world. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.